a condition of receiving that money, must improve quality of patient rights and care. In 2003, I spent 4 months in state-run Alaska Psychiatric Institute. I explained to the therapists, the doctors, management, the nurses, and PNAs that as a young lady I had been raped and that I also had additional physical abuse trauma in my childhood. I requested that male staff not enter my bedroom, bathroom, or shower for routine safety checks because it traumatized me. But men continued to do invasive routine safety checks for 4 straight months. On close watch, a man would enter my room every 15 minutes. At night, I would be lucky if a man did not shine their flashlight in my eyes. This was how I was terrorized for 4 months. I left API more mentally ill and traumatized than when I entered. I left with what could be considered post-traumatic stress disorder. As a consequence, as an advocate, I helped pass Chapter 59, Session Law 08, Gender Choice of Staff for Intimate Care for Psychiatric Patients. The Department of Health and Social Services, Behavioral Health, and API Management all publicly fought against gender choice in law and in practice. The current gender choice law clearly states that routine safety checks into bedroom, bathrooms, and showers must be performed by staff of the same gender as the patient. API policy does not state that. Fairbanks and Juneau hospitals do civil commitments, but DHSS will not require those hospitals to adopt a gender choice policy without pressure from organizations like the Trust. The last issue, a South Carolina study by Karen J. Cusack and others stated that up to 47% of the psychiatric patients, as a result of being in an acute care psychiatric facility, will experience trauma that may cause or exacerbate PTSD. It is one of the most costly illnesses in America. Some of the trauma is unnecessary. Psychiatric hospitals and units must be required to write policies that call for the recognition and treatment of institutional trauma while the patient is still in the institution. Examples of institutional trauma are physically restraining a patient, placing a patient in isolation, strapping a patient to a gurney or other device as a means of restraint, using force to medicate a patient, and physical takedowns. The Trust Authority holds the purse strings for a number of psychiatric programs and psychiatric hospitals and units. We are requesting that the Trust Authority should require that providers improve patient rights and care for psychiatric patients as a condition of receiving Trust Authority money, including the specific issues we have brought to your attention today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Doran, do you have a comment?
Yes, I do. You should all have a copy of this. The staff was going to pass it out. I don't know if they did. Did they do that? Yes. All right. Thank you. Doesn't hurt to double check. My name is Dorrance Collins. Mr. Chair, board members, my name is Dorrance Collins. The Trust Authority holds the power of the purse strings for a number of projects. And like Faith Meyer said, we're asking the Trust Authority to start an internal program and an ongoing committee. The goal would be to improve psychiatric patient rights. When the state improves psychiatric patient rights, quality of care improves and opportunity for patient recovery. The Trust Authority should refuse to give any money to any organization or program that will not improve the patient rights and quality of care. And that includes to organizations like DHSS. In 2010, I reviewed over 50 psychiatric patient grievance procedures from around the state. I also reviewed policies from Alaska Psychiatric Institute and toured the hospital reviewing quality of care. As stated, the board should have in front of them a 3-page minority report, and I'm going to just paraphrase the minority report. 1, patients are not able to receive a response to their complaints in a reasonable way. A 9-page report by Disability Law Center adds proof to that. 2, the hospital policy that calls, there is no hospital policy that calls for the recognition and treatment of institutional trauma. 3, staff is using exercise equipment intended for patients, denying patients the opportunity to use the exercise equipment. It's a good deal for the employee to come in and jump on the patient exercise equipment. They're getting paid their payments and exercise. What a sweetheart deal. Patients are not given a complete package of necessary equipment, necessary information when they enter API, including the grievance procedure unit manuals. 5, patients should be asked to sign a form stating they understand their rights. 6, the sign outlining patient rights on the unit needs to be larger. 7, Department of Health and Social Services is required to investigate complaints. DHSS's numbers should be given to every patient. 8, a patient bed was soaked in urine at 3 in the afternoon. Housekeeping staff at API should be required to make patient's bed every day. Individuals in API, many of them have dementia. They're expected to line up, get their own sheets, and make their own beds. But people with dementia really are not good at that. So they sleep in urine-soaked beds. 9, there is no policy that lets patients into the fenced-in courtyard, and it should be. 10, the law states that patients must have a reasonable opportunity for gender choice of staff rendering care. API policy is not good enough. 11, routine safety checks, bedroom, bathrooms, and showers by law must be done by same gender. API policy does not state that. 12, API is not responding to all patient complaints in writing, which is a violation of federal JCAHO requirements. 13, patients have a right by AS 4730, 847 to have their complaints heard in front of an impartial body. That's not happening at API, nor is it happening at Fairbanks Memorial, Bartlett Hospital in Juneau, and it should be. Nobody's putting pressure on them to do it. 14, it's not clear in API policy the patient can file a grievance at the time of their choosing. 15, API Advisory Board was created by Administrative Order 241, but DHSS get to choose the board members. And so they're going to pick board members that are sympathetic towards what they want to do. 16, last one. AS 4730, 847 states there must be a patient advocate API. But at API, there is no person clearly identified as a patient advocate. There's a family specialist, but patients don't understand that, especially patients with dementia. So in closing, we're asking the Trust Authority to use its economic influence and authority to improve psychiatric patient rights and quality of care statewide. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a question of the members of the trustee?